Bro, what even is that? Trump-class battleship. That sounds intriguing. Let's jump into it, guys.
Just recently, Donald Trump stated that the United States needs a new class of battle cruisers.
Okay.
For many, this sounded like just another loud slogan, political noise, nothing more. But if you put aside your emotions and take a closer look at the real state of the U.S. Navy, it becomes clear that there's too much logic in these words to simply dismiss them. The modern U.S. fleet looks impressive. Dozens of Arleigh Burke destroyers, Ford supercarriers, and Ohio nuclear submarines capable of solving any strategic task. But there's a strange disconnect between these elements of the U.S. Navy. The decommissioned Ticonderoga cruisers never received a proper replacement. The futuristic Zumwalt cruisers proved to be nothing more than a bold experiment, and destroyers are forced to take on missions they weren't originally designed for. In this context, Donald Trump's announcement of a new class of cruisers ceases to be eccentric. Nowadays, it sounds like an intuitive hit on a very real problem. However, is there room in the current U.S. Navy structure for a fundamentally new class of large surface ships? And if so, what should it be like?
Okay. All right. So it definitely seems like we're encountering a hypothetical. I definitely love the idea of hypotheticals here. If there is something coming, we will definitely be following that, because I think I definitely absolutely am incredibly attracted to carrier strike groups for some reason. I think they're big monstrosities in the middle of nowhere, right? Imagine a whole town being moved. It's amazing to encounter. A Trump class ship? Let's go and see what it's about here, guys. But again, this definitely feels like a hypothetical so far.
Donald Trump's statements about military technology are rarely technically accurate. More often than not, they rely on imagery, the biggest, the most powerful, or the best in the world.
Right.
That's why recent announcements about a new class of Trump-class battleships initially seemed like political hype. But the reaction was different. Instead of the usual condescending dismissal or skepticism, the U.S. president's words unexpectedly coincided with issues that have been discussed in professional circles for several years. What's even more interesting is that this was far from the first time Trump had floated the battleship proposal. 10 years ago, speaking from the deck of the former battleship USS Iowa, then presidential candidate Donald Trump raised the possibility of returning the ship to service if he were elected.
Okay.
Although he won the election, the Iowa remained moored in the port of Los Angeles, California, where it remains to this day. The Iowa-class battleships were essentially the last battleships built for the Navy. 3 of the 4 ships of the class were decommissioned before 1960. But in 1980, under President Reagan, the battleships underwent a major modernization and were recommissioned. Moreover, the upgraded Iowas had the largest payload of Tomahawk missiles, 32, of any U.S. Navy vessel until the late 1980s, when the Ticonderoga-class cruisers with 122 Mk-41 vertical launch system cells and the modernized Spruance-class destroyers with 61 Mk-41 cells entered service. The Iowas served until the end of the Cold War, after which they were gradually decommissioned from 1990 to 1992. However, the battleships Missouri and Wisconsin even managed to participate in the Persian Gulf War. Both ships remained mothballed until 2006 and were considered in 2015 as potential candidates for reactivation. The debate over the need or lack thereof for naval artillery support for future amphibious operations was amazing.
So we're definitely looking to bring back battleships that we decommissioned in 1960, guys. I mean, don't get me wrong here. They're paid for by the tax dollars and things like this. I get that here, but I would highly, suspect here that they'd probably have to be outfitted with a lot of new stuff rather than kind of utilizing old, antiquated technology, guys.
Major factor in the decision to keep the ships in a salvageable condition. Incidentally, no country in the world is currently building new warships that match traditional battleships in size and configuration. While the United States certainly has the necessary material and technical resources and specialists, any attempt to build such ships would be extremely costly and labor-intensive. At the end of their final refit, the Iowas had more than 1,500 crew members on board, 5 times the crew of the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. In the case of the Trump-class warships, widespread automation would help significantly reduce this number. However, even with this, the expected crew complement would remain around 650 to 850, which still exceeds the standard complement of any existing Navy destroyers or cruisers. But a far greater problem for the new battleships would be that Being gun-oriented, they would need to approach to very close range to use their weapons against any targets in conditions where the enemy's capabilities were anti-access and area denial are only expanding. In other words, the vessel could become an obvious and valuable target for enemy forces, creating problems for more independent operations outside of a large surface task force. Moreover, the future of those types of amphibious operations where naval artillery fire support could be most useful is increasingly being called into question. As early as 2020, a complete restructuring of the U.S. Marine Corps force structure began, based on new operational concepts that place less emphasis on deployment using traditional large amphibious ships. But you have to admit, it would be unfair to just criticize the Trump class without even going over what we learned about it during the recent announcement at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
It is as follows. According to the U.S. Navy, the new battleship will be nearly 3 times larger than the Arleigh-Burke-class destroyers, the main combat platform of the U.S. surface fleet. The Trump class will displace between 30,000 and 40,000 tons, slightly smaller than the Iowa, which displaced about 60,000 tons at full load. The length of the vessel is from 840 to 880 feet, the width is from 105 to 115 feet, and the maximum speed is more than 30 knots. The render showed 3 large vertical launch systems, VLS, 2 in the bow and 1 in the stern. One image showed the ship firing intermediate-range conventional prompt strike IRCPS missiles, a Tomahawk cruise missile, and standard missiles, Standard Missile Family. Additionally, several others were visible in the same images, such as turreted 5-inch naval guns and other conventional weapons. Among other things, the Trump-class ships will be armed with the new nuclear-armed sea-launched cruise missile, SLCM-N, currently under development, and will be compatible with laser weapons and railguns. Incidentally, the U.S. Navy has not officially announced that it's continuing work on the latter.
Right,
Do you think
I can
this
imagine.
can be considered a bold hint?
No, I don't think so. Right? I mean, like listening to what's happening here, I think that I don't think it's a good idea, bro. Let me just be completely honest. I'm not going to blow smoke up you guys, back doors and things here. Listen, the story of it sounds intriguing, right? I would love to see it because I love looking at things like this here specifically. But I think like how war is basically done, I would say these days, is a lot more than this, if that makes any sense here. It seems like we're kind of going back in time to kind of rehash something that we've already decided is not how things are basically moving anymore, bro. This is not the 1950s, right? Most war is done these days through propaganda, social media. Let's just be honest here. And then if it does come to like some type of physicality, it's going to be on the ground, or it's going to be, I don't know, bro, like shot from a submarine. Let's just say this here. I think that things have changed so drastically. These are like, I'm trying to word this correctly because I don't want to sit here and sit on my mouth. Basically, that doesn't make any sense. But you get what I'm saying here. Bite my tongue. What's the phrase I'm looking for here? But either way, I think war has changed. Like I think the overall like how things are handled have changed. I don't think anything is similar to what it once was when battleships were basically needed, where they would basically pull up side by side and start firing. I think things are drastically different. We have the ability to see targets from hundreds of miles away, and then we just send a ballistic towards them. I mean, you get what I'm saying here, guys, right? Apaches can deliver some craziness from long distances. All you really need is a missile platform. So I don't really think large scale that this is something that we should spend money on, but I do again like the hypothetical. I'm just trying to, I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to get it, bro. Like, is it worth the money? Is it worth spending the money on it? Is it worth it when we have so many other things that do it better? Like, I think like modern military stuff kind of rewards overall like flexibility more so than just a gunship type of thing.
Trump also said the new ships would incorporate artificial intelligence capabilities.
Okay.
Speaking at the end of September 2025, the U.S. president rightly noted that ammunition for naval guns is cheaper per shell than for missiles. However, it's also true that missiles have long since become the dominant naval weapon on large surface combatants around the world for engaging targets at sea,
that was my concern,
land, and in the air, largely due to the significantly greater range and accuracy they provide compared to even very large caliber guns. Another issue that puzzled many was the class name. This appears to be the first time a U.S. Navy ship class has been named after a sitting U.S. president, although the service has previously been criticized for naming ships after living individuals. What's also unusual is that the lead ship will not bear the name of the class, as was the case, for example, with the Gerald R. Ford class supercarrier and the lead ship of the same name, CVN-78 USS Gerald R. Ford. In the case of the Trump-class battleships, the lead ship will be the USS Defiant BBG-1 in accordance with the name of their development program, BBG-X, which replaced DDG-X. The U.S. Department of Defense announced that the BBG-X program will incorporate technologies and capabilities from its predecessor. The ships are planned to be armed with 12-cell conventional prompt strike CPS hypersonic missile system, 128 cell Mark 41 VLS, previously named SLCM-N, 32 MJ railgun, as well as a pair of 300 kilowatt combat lasers. And the following were mentioned as defensive capabilities: 4 30mm guns, 2 rolling airframe missile RAM launchers, 4 AN SEQ-4 optical dazzling interdictors, Odin, and 2 anti-drone systems. Other key features include a closed hangar for vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL aircraft, such as the futuristic Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey helicopters, as well as future manned and unmanned VTOL aircraft. The U.S. Navy truly needs to rethink its surface component as the existing architecture begins to experience systemic overload. U.S. Navy officials at the highest levels have repeatedly spoken in recent years about the need to consider plans for surface warfare in the foreseeable future beyond the overall missile launch capability, especially given the fleet's declining size. A key focus of the discussions was filling the gaps that will arise when the last Ticonderoga-class cruisers are decommissioned at the end of this decade, which will in turn lead to the retirement of hundreds of VLSs. We'd like to highlight the fact that within this discourse, large caliber guns historically associated with battleships were not considered as any kind of alternative. After all, let's be honest, no one wants the new Trump-class battleships to even partially replicate the success of the Zumwalt stealth destroyers, which became ballast shortly after the U.S. Navy's decision not to purchase long-range land attack projectile LR lap ammunition with a price tag of $800,000 to $1 million for the 155mm Advanced Gun System, AGS.
That's just a gun?
The overall design...
I'm good, bro. That's just a gun. Guys, no. Listen, I love a good hypothetical. I'm telling you this right now. I love a really good hypothetical. I'm not going to lie about this one here, bro. But the amount of staff that is needed to basically run a destroyer and then build the destroyer, and then put the guns on the destroyer, then stock the missiles for the destroyer, then fuel the destroyer. I mean, not the destroyer, the battleship. You could buy multiple destroyers, basically, within that, right? So why are we doing this here? I mean, I get it. I think he probably just wants his name on something. I get it. I would want my name on things too. I get the whole name and everything by after yourself thing. I'm telling you, I get it fully. Don't think I don't here. But just understand here, guys, this does not seem like a conducive thing here. I think it'll be cool, but it's just not how things move anymore, bro. And like, to my knowledge, like even the last time the Iowa was even used, like in the 90s, guys, it was just basically as a missile platform, not really anything more than that. It wasn't used as a gunship, right? So yeah, we brought the Iowa out of wet storage, let's say, okay, after maintaining it obviously for all of these years here, because these things are not cheap to maintain. Even though they're not being used, they're still being maintained in a very expensive manner. All right, and so the point that I'm trying to make here is that it was still just used as a missile platform. All right. So I'm not sure what the point of building like a modern futuristic battleship is, other than it just being super cool. It could, I mean, it's just super cool, but I don't want to spend the money on it. I'm telling you, I'm like incredibly fiscally conservative, guys. I'm telling you, spend the money on something. I'd rather get multiple destroyers than one singular like Trump class battleship, bro. All right. I'm telling you, my opinion, obviously. But listen, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies. And I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry. Right? Listen, like and subscribe.